we have to understand that whatever frequency you're operating at is what's going to come back to you, right? Or
Can we talk about it a little bit more? Because you have a serious amount of knowledge in that area as well. Frequency, energy, vibe. What the hell is this?
well, here's how simple it is.
Because people think it's a big woofy poofy stuff because they don't talk about it on television. People seem to be under the impression that if it's not on TV, it must not be true.
Well, listen, we have millions of successful people on this world that can. The proof is there that it's true.
Yeah, but they don't talk
Right.
about it on TV.
But you see, you know what happens really, Lucas, is everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants instant gratification. They want, when they get an idea and they think they're going to do something, they want to win straight away. Not realizing it does take effort and it takes a bit of time. And if you're going to expect people to support you, you have to build relationships, right? This is what's really important. And you have to build relationships with people who are on the same par or above where you want to be at. And that's operating at different frequencies, if you like. Or, quite simply, I'm sure all of your listeners have probably heard this one, you are who you spend most of your time with.
Yeah, this
Right?
is a very big one. Can I just elaborate on this one a little bit? Because I had a gentleman, he's a friend of a friend. He watches my podcast. He absolutely loves it. It motivates him. But he contacted me and he said to me, Lucas, he says, how do I do what you do? Every time I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that, my friends call me and I end up on the drink and I might be doing this. And I said, how to limit friends and all that? And I said, what buddies? What are you talking about? You cannot be a successful businessman and hang around in a pub. It just doesn't work like that. So you have to cut your ties,
Yeah,
This is the one.
Actually, there's an interesting story, right? Because I remember when I got a job in the hotel, and I was 14 years old, right? And I had to dress really well because it was fairly upmarket. It was probably the most upmarket hotel in Limerick and probably one of the most upmarket in Munster at the time. So I had to dress really well. And the one thing I will say from my dad always dressed really well. His shoes would be polished, shined. He used to say, you can tell the mark of a man by the cut of his shoes, right?
Oh.
And he said, I don't care if your shoes are broken, polish them. Shine your shoes, right? And when you walk out into the world, you walk out there and be the best you can be. And my dad wouldn't go around to the corner shop without having a shave, without having being groomed and putting on a shirt and tie and a jacket, right? He'd be 100 years old now if he was still alive, right? So that'll give you that era, and that's the way people used to think. And so when you go out into the world, you have to present yourself in the best way you can, right? Based on whatever it is, the marketplace you're going into. So I'm going into this hotel, so I had to have I often laugh. My mum often tells story. I was a nightmare to iron a shirt for.
Oh.
Because if there was one wrinkle, I'd take it off and iron it again.
Oh, really?
It had to be perfect, right? So I remember one summer day, I was getting on the bus to go to work. So I was working in that evening. So I was getting on the bus around 3:30 p.m. And then some of my old mates. So when I grew up, we used to swim in the river, right? So we'd all head off about 2.5-3 miles from where we used to live. We'd go to the river and we'd swim in the river, and that was our thing for the summer. And what great times we had there,
Oh, that's the best.
And,
that's how I spent my childhood as well.
Yeah. But I remember this day, I was waiting for the bus, and I was getting on the bus, and some of my old mates were saying, they were all heading off with the towels around their shoulders, and it was a really sunny day, And they said, "Oh, are you coming with us?" I said, "Guys, I have to go to work."
And you were 14.
I was 14.
Yeah, all the
Right.
boys on the bikes go into the river, and you had to go.
And
to
I
work.
had to go to
There
work.
There you go. This is when
And-
the success started.
Well, it is. But I tell you something, honestly, it wasn't easy, right? Because they started giving me a hard time, right? You think you're better than us now. You think you're this. Now, that was the old program that was running, if that makes sense, from
Exactly
how people
know what you
believe,
mean.
right? And I remember getting on the bus, and then they really started giving me a hard time. And I was thinking, I'm just going to get off the bus and punch the head off them. That's what I felt, right, at the time. And then I was getting on the bus going to work, and I sat on that bus going into the city thinking, what am I doing? I'm missing out my life. I want to be with my friends. I almost got off the bus. I genuinely did, and that was because of peer pressure. And I say this respectfully, there was none of those guys going anywhere in life where I wanted to go. And that's not dismissing them as unimportant, right? That was just a choice. And the reason I say this, because you had mentioned something a moment ago about, with your friends and going to the pub and so forth. And by the way, I like going to the pub still. I'll go and meet some guys, and it's rare when I get a chance, but I do. And I'll have chat about life. I won't chat about my business. I won't chat about my goals. So if I go to Limerick and let's say we go to a rugby match and I meet some of my old friends that I played rugby with, we will talk about rugby all day long. We'll talk about the old stories of the games we had as kids when, somebody broke their arm or somebody got their nose smashed, or, all the fun, or the try that somebody scored, or, how great the winger this guy was and he should have made it. And we'll have those conversations. And that's okay to be in that circle of influence. But if I want to be successful, I have to make sacrifices sometimes. If I want to get out and achieve something, I understand that every single choice, and this is what's really important, every choice that you make. So if you choose to go to the pub, you're sacrificing something else for going to the pub. If you choose not going to the pub, then you're sacrificing going to the pub for something else, if that makes sense. But all I can tell you this is, every single choice that you make, there's going to be a consequence. Every choice. There is nothing, right? Yeah, cause and effect. Right?
Cause and effect,
Yeah. There is nothing. There's not one single choice that you make that doesn't have a consequence or an outcome. And you have to understand, and for your listeners who are listening here, you have to understand that you get to choose this.